Hello, and this time we are looking at solving inequalities. And if you know how to solve equations, so if you saw 2x minus 3 equals 12 and you think, that's fine, you know what to do, great, this is going to be absolutely fine for you. If that is like, whoa, what is going on, no idea how to do this, then maybe check out a different video first about solving equations and then come back when you're happy with that for solving inequalities. Much easier to do it that way around, I would say. Quick thing about inequalities first, because you often get this built into a question in a GCSE. The arrows, I'm sure you know that this means less than 12. So the pointy bit is the small side, this side is smaller, and this side is bigger. And the other way around means greater than, reading left to right, because the wide bit is big and the narrow bit is the small side. Some people say the greedy crocodile eats the larger side, so this is the big one because the greedy crocodile eats it. But I find that slightly counterintuitive because then the crocodile is facing left in this case, but we read it, this way. And so, I don't like that particularly. I always think the wide side is the big one and the pointy side, the small side, is the small one. But it's up to you. And those are strict inequalities, meaning if you have x is greater than 7, it means it can be bigger than 7, but it cannot be 7. So 7.0000000001, that's great, that's allowed, but 7 itself, no, because it is bigger than. And if you see something like this, an arrow with an extra line, or sometimes it's with a parallel line, this means greater than, or indeed you could have less than, but also equal to. So this time you would be, if this had the line on it, you would be allowed to have 7 if you've got that bonus line. Okay, another little thing just before we do the solving, sorry if you're here just for that and telling you things you already know, but just to remind you as well, because this also comes up in GCSEs, if you're asked to solve it and then show your answer on a number line, let's say you have x is greater than 1, then you're going to go to 1 and say it's all the numbers bigger than it and show it like that on a number line. And if it's strict, if you're not allowed to be it's an open circle because you can't stand on it. It's like a hoop you'd fall through, you can't be there. Whereas if it said x is less than or equal to -2, then it would be a solid circle because you are allowed to be it. Okay, and there are situations where you can show, something bound by two things. So x is less than or equal to 1 and greater than -2 is going to be an open circle here and a solid circle here, and connected this time because it is bound on both sides, whereas here it goes to infinity both ways. Okay, so that's what you do once you've found the solution, but we have to actually solve the inequalities first. And as I said, if you can solve equations, this is exactly the same. Just imagine for the moment that says equals. What would you do? You would do the opposite. You'd move the 3 first, doing it in reverse BIDMAS order, by doing the opposite. It says -3. We're going to add 3 to both sides. So 2x equals 12 plus 3, which is 15. And then what you would do is you would say, okay, if 2x equals 15, I'm going to divide both sides by 2 and get x equals 15 over 2, or you could write it as 7.5. It's entirely up to you. And the only difference here is that instead of writing equals and equals, I'm just going to write this symbol, less than, less than. That's it. It's exactly the same as solving equations. It's just that you keep the sign that it gives you. Now there is one bonus thing, so don't turn the video off just yet. I'm going to do these 2 examples and then I'll let you know the one thing that is different, okay? So same thing, if it was an equation, if it said equals, we'd move the 3x over and get 2x plus 3 equals -7. Well, I'm just going to put that arrow instead. And I'm going to take the 3 away, so 2x equals -10 if it was an equation, but it's not, so it's the arrow, and then divide by the 2, and we just divide by 2. Same thing as solving equations, just with the arrow in place. Same thing here. You could expand the bracket, but as 3 goes into 15, I'm going to divide first. Use the symbol it gives me, and that's 5. Take that away, so 2x is 5, take 3 is 2, and then divide both sides, and we get our answer. So please don't look at these and think it's a new method. It's exactly the same as solving equations, just if it gives you an arrow, use that arrow. When is it different? Well, let's say this question had a minus there. It was minus 2x minus 3 is less than 12. Okay, so that's a minus. If you ever times or divide by a minus number, so here, dividing by that minus 2 gives us the answer of minus 7.5 or minus 15 over 2, if you just move the minus sign up. When you do a divide or times by a minus number, you have to flip the arrow over, to flip it the other way. Okay, this is only timesing and dividing. If you add, we had a minus 3, okay, or if we took away the 3, it didn't do anything. That's adding and taking. If you times or divide by a minus number, only minuses, so here, dividing by 2, didn't do anything. The arrow stayed the same. But minus 2, the arrow flips over, okay? That's the only thing you have to remember that's different to solving equations, if there's a minus. Now, personally, I avoid that so that I don't have to worry that I'm going to get that bit wrong. I avoid it by always moving the thing I'm looking for by adding and taking. So if I have got this equation with the minus, I look at this and say, ooh, I do not like the 2x being negative. Not happy with that. I'm going to add it to the other side. Minus 3 is less than 12 plus 2x. Now take away the 12. Minus 15 is less than 2x. Now divide by 2. Minus 7.5 is less than x. And then, of course, I don't like the x on the right-hand side, so I flip it over, and there's that flip of the arrow. It now points, it has to be the same arrow between the x and the number, but because I'm writing them backwards, the arrow flips with it. So that's the flip happening. Still has to happen, whether you do it purposefully when you times or divide by the negative, or if you avoid timesing and dividing by the negative, then you will have to flip the whole thing round just to get the x on the correct side. So that's the only thing that's different. Otherwise, just do the opposite. It's the name of the game. Do the opposite. Move things around just like solving equations, just with the different arrow rather than an equal sign. But divide by it or times by a negative number, flip that arrow over, and that will do you. You can't check these on the calculator, well, or not on the calculator that I use anyway. It will solve equations, so you could type this in, we're doing it minus now, aren't we? So minus 2x minus 3 alpha equals 12. You can put that in and go shift solve. That's not the answer. Remember, that's just saying, where do you want me to start looking? So yeah, start there. And it will tell me the right answer, but it will tell me as an equals. So it just means, you have to know how to put that arrow in the right place. So you can check your numerical answer, just like if it was an equation, gives the same number. It's the arrow that makes it an inequality. Okay? Calculator does have a function for quadratic inequalities, but they have to be quadratic. It'll do quadratic, cubic, and power of 4. It won't do linear. So that's another video doing quadratic ones. For now, we'll leave it at these nice linear ones and say just check your answer by doing the shift solve function. Okay, if you have any further questions, let me know in the comments, but otherwise, cheerio.